Hello, my astrology family. This is Lada from astrolada.com. I don't usually go live, but it's today is the 21st of December, Saturn and Jupiter conjunct in the 0 degrees of Aquarius, the sign of community. So I said, what the heck? Let's do it. We have to start creating that spirit of community that it's all it's going to be about for the next 20 years. No, for the next 2000 years, the age of Aquarius. So starting with today, hopefully I will get used to doing lives because I'm usually a bit shy and nervous. I record them and then I release them. But yeah, I wanted to connect with you to see how you're doing and to talk a little bit for the astrology till the end of the year. And again, I'm going to talk about the Saturn Jupiter conjunction. I made a 2 hour video that's had 100,000 views already talking about the Saturn Jupiter conjunction, but I talked a lot about the positive side. Today, I'm going to give you a bit of a twist. I want to speak a little bit about the negative side as well, because we have to be prepared for it as well. But I'm going to also lift your spirits, and you'll see how the positive side will overcome. And then we're going to talk about the full moon in Cancer that is coming on the 29th of December. Let me share my screen with you. Here is the 2020 calendar, what is happening till the end of the year. By the way, this calendar for 2021 is available already. It's on discount till the end of the year. You get everything that's happening in the sky. So today we're having the Saturn Jupiter conjunction. Um, Here it is, Jupiter conjunct Saturn. Then we're going to have for Christmas. Let's very quickly, before we enter into the Saturn Jupiter conjunction, for the Christmas days, we're going to have Mercury trine Uranus and Sun trine Uranus, which is quite great actually. Uranus is very social, this aspect. So I think, as you can see, when you click its interactive calendar, it says receiving some good news, finding a missing piece of information, stimulating and energizing conversations. So despite of a lot of us being on lockdown and not being able to get together, I think there will be still good times around Christmas, stimulating conversation, exciting news in a positive way. And Sun trine Uranus, breaking from routine, seeing things from a different angle, more freedom of self-expression. Good for working a group project, so it's the energy will be exciting. There is nothing stressful around Christmas. There is nothing there is no oops, screen sharing has stopped. I don't know if you saw the screen share that I did, but anyway, maybe you didn't. So I was just talking without the screen share. But I just want first to give you the good news that I think Christmas for many of us will carry this exciting charge of Uranus. And the energy will flow. There will be surprising, but in a positive way, and electrifying energy in the air. But for New Year, if I can share my screen again, let's see. New Year, and by the way, we have full moon in Cancer a little bit after Christmas, so it's going to be all about the family. Full moon in Cancer for the next 2 weeks, and but New Year, very close on New Year, we have Venus conjunct the South Node. You can see it on the calendar. I don't have it right now. I can show it. But Venus conjunct the South Node in Sagittarius, and Venus is let's have a party. Venus wants to have fun, to indulge in pleasures. Sagittarius is festive, is about celebration. So people want to do that, but Venus is conjunct the South Node, which is South Node is a blockage. South Node is something that cannot happen. So South Node is spiritual, not material in nature. So South Node really clips the wings of that Venus around New Year. So I don't think big parties are possible though. And this Venus conjunct the South Node, which is spiritual influence. Venus wants material things. Give me good wine, good food, good company, someone to snog with and someone to make out with, or to dance. And the South Node is like, no, go and pray, no, meditate. So it really, South Node with Venus will ask us on this New Year's Eve, the end of the year, to focus on the spiritual values, on the spiritual merits, to go within a little bit. It's lonely. South Node is lonely. Venus is social. So South Node will take the social aspect out of the celebrations. Plus, it's squared by Neptune. Neptune is again spiritual influence. Neptune is again kind of overdoing it. So even if you're alone, you can overdo it on substances, over drink alone, or whatever, or over smoke alone, whatever your vice is. This is Neptune square Venus. So it's not as festive and as joyful the New Year, but the Christmas feels more easy energies. Uh, and still, it can be kind of dreamy. Venus, Neptune, Venus, South Node, spiritual in influence. Maybe do like a vision board. This is kind of enjoyment, this kind of fun, more spiritual kind of fun. And alone, it's a bit alone energy. But before I go that, and then at the end of the month, Saturn becomes invisible. This is the 30th of December. So that's right before Christmas, before New Year's Eve. And it's going to be invisible for 2 months, all the way into February, sometime into February. And that means that some structure in your life, collectively for us, can fall apart. And Saturn usually rules governments, people in power. Some important political figure can pass away or can fall down from power, for example, because Saturn is those in control normally. And when it becomes invisible, watch out for such events towards the end of the year. But also, um, the governments become hidden because Saturn becomes invisible, it comes close to the sun. So a lot of planning behind the scenes for a couple of months, new plans, and then a new order will emerge from the end of February. But for a little bit, the governments and ruling powers become incognito and start planning things behind. But what can it mean on a personal level? Saturn becoming invisible in Aquarius means that some structure, old structure in your life will die out, will dissolve, or you will let go of it. So we're going to speak about all of the 12 signs. Hopefully I'll have time. We're going to pass all the 12 signs and tell them how the full moon in Cancer is going to affect them and how the Saturn disappearing is going to affect them. And it's interesting. But before that, I wanted to focus a little bit more on the Saturn Jupiter conjunction. I did a 2-hour video. I talked about the communal aspect of Saturn conjunct Jupiter in Aquarius, how over the next 20 years, already immediately from this year, 2021, you'll start seeing countries within countries emerging, but self-sustaining little towns or communities are going to start appear. And it was amazing yesterday on the conjunction, and today a friend of mine with a lot of means called me and she said, I had a vision. And she doesn't know anything about astrology, but she said, I had a vision that I have to build a community and that I have to create it's going to be self-sustaining. I saw how the buildings will be in it. They're going to be rounded, dome-like. And she's an architect and she's a designer as well. And she knows sacred geometry. So she studied all of those things and she says, I have to do it according to sacred geometry. And she found the place of land and she says, I'm buying it and we're starting this community. And I said, I'm going to come and live there. So it's already on the first day of Saturn Jupiter conjunction, bam. This is like, I had certain plans for my life. Now, when she told me that, my life becomes that. If she really buys that piece of land that she's found and starts building it, I said, I'm going to dedicate my life to this community. And she says, I'm going to give, once I create the plans for it, I'm going to give them on the internet for everyone for free to develop their own communities. They can build their own towns and with equal participation, everyone, instead of buying a house in the city, you buy a house in this community. They'll have their own schools, their own educational system. They'll grow their own food. Everyone will participate. And she says, like, I saw it, I downloaded it, and I can't do anything. Actually, I work with her. She does the charity. Astrolada gives 10% of everything to her charity, which was till now helping schools. And now she came with this idea, and she says, I'm starting. And I said, I'm joining you. So I'm like, on the day of Saturn Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius, the sign of communities, the sign of self-sustaining communities and people joining hands together to create from the bottom up. No longer are we going to be expecting from the top up, the trickle down system. Give me a little bit, whatever crumbles remain for me, for us from those top above. The government will take care of us. Please give us a solution, what to do. No, Aquarian energy is the opposite. I am independent being and I'm the only one who can define my life. I do not subscribe. Aquarius is rebellious. I do not subscribe to the rules, to rulers beyond. I will create my own life. So this is what, but I will reach out and connect with others. This is Aquarius. And we'll all create a community that we can be self-sufficient from the bottom up, down, up, and define our own rules. So it is starting, guys. And someone else wrote to me and said, I'm starting such a community. I'm organizing it. It's going to start popping up. They're going to start popping up like mushrooms after rain, those communities around the world. But I talked about that for 2 hours. I want to talk a little bit about the most scary aspect of Aquarius. Let's start. Aquarius rules telepathy in astrology. Aquarius rules the beehive brain. So, like ants and bees, they somehow can communicate telepathically to each other. Or is it with chemicals? I don't know how they do it. But if one ant from the same colony changes direction, all ants know about that. And each ant is as important. It has a role there. So it's almost like those communities of beehives, they're plugged in together. And that's what the point of the next 2000 years of the age of Aquarius is, that humans develop enough empathy and the nervous system is developed enough to start connecting to basically the psychology, to the mind of the collective. So you'll know if it might happen very fast in the next 20 years, because the Saturn Jupiter conjunction, the small one in Aquarius, happens now. And then for 2100 years, it continues the grand cycle of Saturn, of the Aquarian age. But the ultimate goal is that by the end of this period, we'll all have this kind of community telepathy with one another. We'll be interconnected. This is what telepathy is. And it's meant, according to divine plan, to happen naturally. Telepathic abilities awaken when the heart chakra gets triggered. It triggers the other chakras. And naturally, through the ability of love and compassion, telepathy gets triggered. And that's what the dark lodges, because there is always light lodges, the ones that want the right evolution for humanity according to divine plan. And there is the dark lodges that are opposing that were allowed by creator, by divine. They're playing their shadow role, because there is no progress without darkness. There is no light as well. It's like you need the contrast to push you forward. And of course, the dark lodges, call them whatever you want, they have their representatives, especially on Earth. Most of the people in highest power are representative of the dark lodges, but like in the Bible says, follow the water bearer, the waterman. He will take you to the right place. So we're just entering the age of the water bearer. So now it's shifting. Their power is going to be taken away. But in this process, they'll be holding on to power, because till now they were the rulers of the world, the black lodges. And they always try to oppose the natural evolution of humanity with artificial means. So the natural evolution and plan for us already in the next 20 years, already from now, is people to become way more empathetic and altruistic. Naturally, because of their nervous system is more developed, because their heart aligns with their mind. And they start telepathically. So what happens? Imagine we develop it, this compassion. So if you know that your neighbor is starving, you'd feel it telepathically, and you cannot sit and indulge on your Christmas dinner, because you would feel the pain of the people next door, and you'd go and give them some of your food. You'd tell them, how can I help? This is the natural evolution for humanity. And like that, when there is a starving child in Ethiopia or somewhere else, no one can rest, because they would feel it. This community there, they're not well, they're starving, there's some cataclysm, we need to help them. And it's been happening gradually, but still not very few people have this. But the goal is within the next 20 years that this, with the Saturn Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius, that this vibration, and we call it awakening spiritually, is going to increase. For many, it's going to happen within the next year as well, that they're just starting empathetically to connect to one another. And the highest level is that within 2000 years, the majority of humanity will have actually proper telepathic skills. You won't need Skype. You just tune into someone and you know how to, you know what's happening, you communicate with them. But of course, the dark lords are trying to oppose that. And they're trying to do it in an artificial way. Of course, technology is one way dark lodges use. I love technology, it's so wonderful, but it can be used in a very dark way. So they're saying, okay, the evolutionary goal is collective mind. We can't go against that, the beehive mind. But we can use artificial means to connect the people into the beehive mind and to create it in artificial means. What am I talking about? The AI getting plugged in with your nervous system, which is ruled by Aquarius again, and receiving immediate telepathy, but in mechanical ways, in artificial, internet. Okay, now we have devices, but the ultimate goal is that it takes over your body, your DNA, and you'll say, well, that's sci-fi. Watch it. Within a few years, it's not going to be a sci-fi. People, and a lot of people say, yes, I want to be plugged in. I want to have I want to be a superhuman, have immediate information about something. But this, when it happens, your vibrations are hijacked by AI, artificial intelligence, which can influence your moods. Your nervous system is hijacked by that, which can keep your vibration lower. The nervous system is the place where our vibration can become up and down. So there is a very strong chance that if you plug into that, and I'm warning you, maybe it's not this year it's going to happen, but in 4 or 5 years, they'll start allowing people to plug in with their mind, with, I don't know if it's chipping, I don't know how they're going to do it exactly, but to be connected to the system with some device directly into the body, into the nervous system, no longer just in your hand. And be careful, because a lot of people think, oh, why would anyone wish us bad? They can't be evil. No, a lot of normal people, they really think that there is no evil. How can someone wish to enslave humanity? This is stupid. It's not true. And I understand you. Normal people don't see this evilness, but if you studied your code, if you studied, if you've done your research, there is lightness and there is darkness, and the darkness plays dirty, and the darkness goal is annihilation of the natural creation of of God, which is life, annihilation of life, of the attack on the DNA. And of course, why do you think our nervous system has been attacked so powerfully for the last 100 years in every possible means, with Wi-Fi, with microwaves of any sorts, with spraying? Of course, what attacks the nervous system? Toxins. The nervous system can be blocked, so it doesn't connect to the higher vibrations. And because, especially from today, Saturn Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius, the sign of the nervous system, there is this huge plug-in that the universe is doing for humans to increase their vibration, to connect them to the electrical force, the source of energy, the divine one, to raise their vibration. So it's been 100 years, a few hundred years, almost like of a onslaught. And you say, oh, this is conspiracy. There is no way some group of people conspire to attack the nervous systems of humans. Okay, just listen to it like a story. See if it resonates to you. It might be dark, but I'll tell you good news at the end. So the nervous system has been attacked in all type of possible ways, through drugs, through antidepressants. Of course, the brain is part of the drug system. Antidepressants affect that. Through illegal drugs, through EMF, and all kind of, even electricity can, when you stay too close to an electrical line, a lot of people, their sleep is disturbed, their nervous system suffers, they have nervous conditions. And but we're not doomed, and also the foods, the artificial things, the nervous system, the pineal gland is again part of that, and all of those glands that connect to the chakras, well, they've been calcified. You all know that probably, with the fluoride and different aluminiums. And of course, aluminium and mercury are the ones that attack the nervous system the most. They're neurotoxins: fluoride, aluminium, mercury, and you know where they put those. I'm not gonna say it, which contain it. Plus, we wrap our things in aluminium, our food, and they're spraying with aluminium. That now it's official. Even Bill Gates said he's sponsoring this, to spray from the from above, particles of aluminum and so on for global warming because of that. Again, you see, this is science of death. This is dark science. And as I said, the aluminum and those heavy metal particles, they attack the nervous systems of humans. And of course, the nervous system is how you can plug to higher vibrations. The nervous system is how this awakening happens. The nervous systems of humanity has been progressively awakening over the last 1,000 years. A few thousand years, gradually it's becoming more and more complex, more and more perfected. Don't think we're a finished product. And now is the biggest download. And for 2,000 years, it's going to be that. And especially the next 20 years, starting with the Saturn Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius. And of course, they've been rushing those forces to basically let's say, weaken our nervous systems. How many people suffer from nervous conditions, and nervous system is threatened and weakened again by fear, by stress, a lot of stress. And of course, there was what happened in the last 1 year, so much fear, so much stress, people losing jobs and afraid for their life. But it's been consistent. The news, you open the news, it's all negative. Life, it's all, of course, it's only the negative, it's only the scary stuff. And of course, I cannot watch news. My nervous system is super sensitive, especially the most sensitive your nervous system is, which means you're very highly attuned to vibrations and higher vibrations. So that the more easily it gets disturbed by negative news and such low vibrations. So I cannot tolerate watching news. I just start shaking with anger and with stress. So it's been a big onslaught, but don't worry, we're still here. And I have great news to tell you at the end. It's fascinating. So this time we're not going to lose the battle. In Atlantean times and Lemurian, it was allowed for humanity to lose the battle. And I'll show you why. And I'll even invite the people who did this. Not, for the people who gave me that knowledge and information here. But this time it's not going to be allowed. This time these two people measure the vibrational frequencies of everything. They can measure the vibrational frequency of a potato, the vibrational frequency of a pill, the vibrational frequency of a human being or humanity or different civilizations or a star. So they've been measuring that on the scale of 1,000. This is the Dr. Hawking scale. He was a super highly illuminated human being. So consciousness, the highest possible consciousness on Earth in the physical body, it's 1,000. Just giving you the scale. That's illuminated. Jesus Christ was, some other avatars like Mary Magdalene was 1,000. But they are, currently humanity vibrates at 225. Their names are Alejandro and Elena. And I would invite them to speak exactly about this topic. It's very important. But they measured Atlantean humans. The Atlanteans were at 550, which is the vibration of love. So they were much higher vibration than us. And they were much happier. When you're higher vibration, you're much happier. You're like in love and everything is harmonious. Humans are at 220, which is courage. It's a lower vibration, but it's not, there's everything below 200 is motherfucker. It's like fear, anger. And a lot of humans are below 200 individually. A lot of humans, the majority of humans are below 200 individually. But one person at 500 can counteract the vibration of 1 million people below 200. So you see how much, once you go above 200 and 500 vibration as a human being, how you have the power of 1 million beings vibrationally. So a lot of humans, over 80% are below this 200 vibration, which is below 200 goes fear, negativity, shame, guilt, desire, addiction, but just those other 20-30% that are above 200, their vibration brings up the rest of humanity. And it's what I wanted to say is that they measured this, but they measured that in Atlantean times, the integrity of humans was 56%, which is very low. Integrity means standing up for your right. So they were into the vibration of love. They were living love, but they were not standing up. They were not faithful to those principles. That's why the experimentation started. That's why all those, they didn't have integrity. And they didn't have such a strong impulse for self-growth as we do now. They had about at 400 impulse for growth, which is the level of reason. And even though currently humanity is just at 225 collectively, our integrity is at 96% of human beings. And also they measured how much Atlanteans were on par with their divine purpose. They were only at 50% or something like that. So they had misaligned with their divine purpose, even though they had this higher vibration of love. Well, they measured how much we are aligned to divine purpose nowadays, humanity. And they measure it with scalar wave technology. Scalar wave technology is Tesla invented. It's a machine that measures the vibration of everything. They would explain it when they come. And they measured that currently the human is aligned to divine, to their divine intention and purpose at 96, 97%. So we are, whatever God's plan for us is, we're aligned to it. This time we have not, even though our vibration is lower, we are aligned and on purpose according to divine, intentions. So that's why Atlanteans were destroyed, because they veered off their path. Even though they had higher vibrations at 500, you have psychic abilities, telepathy, and all such things. They had those, but they didn't have integrity, so they would compromise their high virtues and beliefs, like with the experimentation with science and so on. And they were misaligned with their spirit, with their divine mission. But now we have integrity. Nowadays we're aligned to divine mission. Plus we have our desire for self-growth is at 750 collectively. Almost, 1,000 is the most. And that's enlightenment state, which means that humans have such desire to improve. That's why we've been, going in the right direction. So this time humanity will not be destroyed. This time humanity will not be enslaved. This time we're according to divine plan. This time humanity has in their heart amazing desire to self-improve. You can see it. You're here because you want to self-improve. You're studying astrology. You're going to a psychologist because you want to self-improve. Heck, you drink alcohol and take drugs because you're suffering. You want to feel better. We're striving constantly. How can I get better? How can I feel a little bit more joy, a little bit more happiness? And that's what desired, not this complacency and whatever comes, I'll take it. We have this desire, and because of that, the dark agenda is not going to win this time. In the Atlantean times and Lemurians, it won over. This time it's not. We're aligned to divine purpose. But I'll invite these two amazing human beings that are doing those scalar wave technology readings. They're doing even for humans to see who is with the shadow agenda, who is with the light agenda. You'll be surprised, you'll be shocked. Some of the biggest figures are aligned with the shadow, but also some of the biggest figures are aligned with the light. They'll talk about that. It's fascinating. So, and another measure for humanity was currently at 750. The enlightenment stage is their creativity. And they measured a lot of other civilizations and galaxies, and we're one of the most creative species in this galactic system. And actually, Atlanteans had creativity at much lower level. Currently, humanity has creativity at 750, enlightened stage. We're so creative. We're so crafty. We're going to find a way out of this dark plan. We're going to find a way out of the dark agenda of Aquarius, of the dark. It's incredible. I cried when I read the readings of currently humans. Yes, our overall vibration is low, but it's at courage. We're courageous. But they also measured something, that in 26 years from now, humans will jump to 500. And some of them to 700 collectively. We don't know what will happen. I'll invite them, we'll speak about that. But it is within the Aquarian age of Saturn Jupiter conjunction. Something they said in the next 20 years, the vibrations start rising so much. They can measure the future as well. And they said, we don't know what's happening, but it's rising. And they said we measured the last 2000 years, humans have moved with only 20 points from 175 to 200 and something for 2000 years. And she said something happens in the next 20 years. The human collectively consciousness rises up to 400 in the next 20 years, which is reason, which is high intelligence. This is Aquarius. And then they said in about 24 years from now, in 1 year, it rises into the 500s, which is love. And they said, we don't know what's going to happen this year. We've never seen anything like that. And we know astrologically, this is the rising of the consciousness that is happening. But there will be some pivotal event. I don't know, will it be aliens coming? Will it be something else? It's such an Aquarian nature, but it will rise. And they've also measured that most children being born right now are born at 500. I was born at a much lower vibration, but you can rise yourself in life to a higher vibration with self-growth, with love. But most humans, they're usually born around 200, currently. I was born at 200. I raised with a lot of hardship to 400, high intellect and reason. But they said we've been measuring thousands of kids in the last few years. Most of them are at 500. They're born at the level of love. They say this is how their consciousness of humanity will rise, because the new souls that are coming, they already vibrate there, and they'll just rise when they come of age. They'll just uplift the vibration of the rest of us. And they say suddenly all of humanity, even those with the lower vibrations, they rise over the next 25 years. They say we've never seen such a thing. So I'm very excited about that. I would invite them. But going back to the Saturn Jupiter conjunction, the dark one, plugging into the beehive mentality, that they want to do it interficially, hijack your nervous system, hijack your consciousness and influence it. Just say no. You have free will. They're not gonna, force you into that. But it will happen naturally. People will start living in communities, and in communities where they're very involved with each other, where there will be like 100 families. One will be a teacher. They would organize their school system together. They would go and work and bring up their food together. They would exchange services and knowledge together. You'll be so interconnected, like a bee's nest, like a ant's nest. You'll be so involved in the lives of the others that to those vibrations of love and the heart chakra is how this beehive mentality and beehive consciousness will arise, that you're going to start feeling the needs of others, and and be so tied together and become so altruistic naturally. You can't force yourself to be altruistic and care for others if you're not put in a situation where you can, through your heart, connect to others. And now we've been so disconnected in our lifestyles. Everyone living in their small box, disconnected, not knowing their neighbors, just being so dependent on the system. Go home, work, come back. Go work, come back. And it's again, this disconnects you from the natural order. And those communities that will pop up, they'll connect us to earth, to the seasons again, to the stars, to each other. But that's the extreme side of Aquarius, disconnection from each other. And the positive extreme side of Aquarius is the opposite. So you see how one sign is the two extremes. Alienation from each other, being just in your mind, not through the heart. But the high vibration of Aquarius is the opposite, feeling altruism, humanitarian and humanistic love for others, and living in very tightly knit communities. And I want to give you one example. There was one book I read about two towns in the USA. One was Italian and the other one was something Scandinavian. They were 20 miles apart from each other, something like that. In the one town, the ones that was Scandinavian, something mostly, settlers, and it was done in the 70s or 80s. They lived on average 20 to 30 years less than the ones in the Italian village. And they started saying, okay, they don't have different pollutants in the air. Let's see, what is it that's making them live less? Or what is it that's making the other ones live more? So they started looking at the food. The Italians, they ate a lot more meat, a lot more greasy stuff. So they were like, it's not the food that they live longer. They tried to see, are they more active physically? No, the Italians were not. What the difference they realize is why the Italians lived so much happier They were also, the level of happiness was like double of the other village. Was that the Italians, they lived on the streets. They lived like a community. Everyone knew everyone. Everyone was involved in everyone's business. The elderly were respected. Like they were like, oh, one big family. That's how the Italian culture is anyway. And despite of, they smoked way more, they drank way more, they ate way more meat. It's like they did everything wrong, but they lived 20 years longer. And it was only because of this, because of the community. They lived like a community, while the other Scandinavian settlers, they were, distant. They didn't know their neighbors. They were disconnected. The elderly were dying alone and so on, even though they lived healthier. They didn't smoke, they didn't drink as much. So what does it show you? That once we form those communities, this is what gives the biggest joy. People who have joy in their body, it raises the vibration, and you live longer. Your health doesn't break down. And what have we seen? We've been disconnected. Why are we getting sicker and sicker? Yes, we might live long, but we live 20 years with illnesses at the end of our life. Because we've lost this community spirit, this higher Aquarian vibration, which is coming now. And this connection to the heart. And what gives you the biggest joy is being part of a community and being appreciated there. And you're involved, you're interested, you're not alone. And your life prolongs. So I am giving you another prediction. When those communities start springing up, people becoming close to each other again, living in communities, not social distancing, not like, no, stay away. Okay, now it's a virus time, but, with those devices and everything, they're putting us more and more in isolation from each other. Even I am on my phone with my husband, he's on his, and we write to each other on the phone. Where's the connection? Look in the eyes for 10 seconds, so it feels very empty, and it feels, you see, so many teenagers are suicidal and they have depressions. I have never seen this when we were teenagers. There were no laptops, no phones, whatever. No one was going through depression. No, there were no suicides. And why are teenagers so depressed? Because they're disconnected from the most natural way for humans, social, real human contact, not on their devices. I've even noticed on my children, when they spend longer than 30 minutes on a device, they go like some aggression and anger enters into them. And I know when I'm too much on my device, when I'm not working, just scrolling mindlessly, I feel this emptiness, I feel this dissatisfaction, I feel this kind of depression. And now young people, and a lot of us as well, this is like the Ahrimanic forces. Ahrimanic is the name, the occult name of Satan, working through devices. And I know I'll sound like some old biblical witch. Oh, the press, like when they did the printing machines, they said the devil is in them. I'm telling you, Rudolf Steiner, the biggest occultist, high-level initiate of the 20th century, 100 years ago, warned us that the incarnation of the Antichrist will happen at the beginning of the 21st century. In the third millennium, at the beginning of the third millennium, he said Antichrist will come in a physical body, just like the solar being Christ came in physical body 2,000 years ago. He's not coming again. He's going to come into the hearts of everyone. I've done a video about that. If you want to watch it, it's 2 hours about the Antichrist, the Christ. The plan is that Christ will be born in the hearts of each one of us, the Christ consciousness now. And that's exactly what, of course, the Antichrist is trying to stop, because the nervous system has grown up enough. And Christ even says in the Bible that the man with the pitcher, which is the symbol of Aquarius, will take you there. And that's when the Christ consciousness starts being born, the Christ, that energy of love of this, starts being born so much more powerful in the hearts of everyone now from the Saturn Jupiter conjunction. And I think some of you say, oh, don't give me this Christian bullshit. The religion is bullshit. I'm talking very different thing than religion and normal Christianity. I'm talking esoteric, spiritual secrets. We're going very deep down in the rabbit hole. But I've studied this in secret societies, works of great grandmasters. So this is my research. This is my story. Listen to it like a fairy tale again. If it resonates to you, You will feel it on your body, in your heart. So the what is this awakening that we're all talking about? This is the merging of the human spirit with the Christ spirit. Not me, but Christ in me lives, as the Bible says. And Christ is a being, solar being, very high evolution. It's not from a human uh, evolutionary line. It's not like some say that Jesus was a more intelligent, clever teacher, master. No, in the 30th year, in the soul, in the body of Jesus, entered the Christed being, which had to diminish itself 17 million times in power for a human body to withstand the power of that Christed being. It's a solar being. It's from a different evolutionary line. It's much more higher development, of course, creator, whatever. And this Christed energy, since the death of Jesus, it exited the body and mixed its aura with the earth aura. So the Christed energy has been here for 2000 years on earth. So the aura of the earth became the Christed being and aura, the Christed being energy. But we needed a couple of thousand years to prepare our nervous systems for gradually this energy to be able to infiltrate, to enter into us. This is the natural evolutionary plan for humanity. And that energy is, of course, of love, of alignment, of harmony, all the beautiful, joyful feelings. This is the Christed energy. And the goal is that humans are constantly in that vibration, constantly in that incredible joy and love. There will never be crimes. Why do crimes happen? Out of pain, out of misery. Why do people kill each other? Why do people hurt each other? Because they don't have access to this joy and love. And now the goal with the Saturn Jupiter conjunction is the pitcher man, like in the Bible it says he will take you there to that kingdom on earth. The divine kingdom on earth come during the age of the Aquarius. This is how it's prophesied in the Bible. And this is when Christ starts, the Christed energy starts. We've developed enough that it can awaken in us, and we can start acting from heart-centeredness, from love, But of course, we're talking about the dark forces that are trying to stop that, put us just in the mind, disconnect us from the heart, and disconnect us from each other. Because when you're in presence of humans helping each other, the love frequencies increases, and it's impossible to keep people in a miserable, negative state. But again, as I said, it's not going to happen. For a little bit, they might be able to. There will be a certain number of humans that will choose that path. But the majority, as is the plan and the prediction, will go the natural way. And that feeling of joy you feel, you can never feel it by plugging it into an AI consciousness type of thing. That feeling of natural high vibration that you'll get naturally. So, there is that. And of course, Rudolf Steiner also prophesied that the incarnation of the Antichrist, or Ahriman, as it's known in occult forces, doesn't have to be destructive for humanity. He says that very likely, he says it's not going to be destructive if humans know that they're spiritual beings. If more humans realize they're spiritual beings, the incarnation of Ahriman will pass by as an interesting event in the history of humanity, where someone very powerful came, demonstrated miracles through science, through AI, but humans did not plug themselves in, and everything's been prepared for his incarnation. And Rudolf Steiner said, before there were any computers, he wrote it 100 years ago, he said, there would appear human-made machines that will have their own intelligence and something like their own will. What is that? AI again. And he said, when those machines appear, this is when the incarnation of Ahriman comes. He comes to power. He says he needs the condition of those man-made machines that have their own will and intelligence to be able to fulfill its plan, and to have the most auspicious conditions to enslave humanity, or to, take the souls of humans, basically, so they don't develop further on the evolutionary scale into the vibration of love, the Christed energy. So they stay at the low vibration of just up to the 400s of high mind and reason only, not into the blissful feelings above, which is love, joy, enlightenment, So we're having that. It's happening. I see in the next 20 years is if this incarnated being, this Antichrist Ahriman being, it's going to appear and it's going to be in power or come within the next 20 years because we have the AI almost there. Maybe we have a few more years. They have to perfect it. It needs to have something like free will of its own. And, because Rudolf Steiner said that beings of, can incarnate in those machines, can take over. He says they're just waiting for humanity to develop enough to develop such machines that have their own will type of thing, that are independent from humans, and they can take over. So like what Elon Musk said, that Satan is in AI and AI can take over, he's very correct. Because once AI is developed enough, like the High Master Rudolf Steiner said, beings of Ahrimanic nature can take over those machines. So you're thinking, this sounds like sci-fi, shut up. I'm just telling you my research and I'm telling you my esoteric knowledge. Listen to it as a story. And it's happening very fast, all of it. But again, I say, yes, these things will happen, but the majority of humanity are realizing, because what is the biggest weapon of Antichrist? If you watch my 2-hour video, is materialistic thinking. Thinking that you're just a coincidence, that you're just a fluke and of nature, that is just some kind of a random occurrence of cells that happen and that consciousness comes from the brain, from the physical. He says if most people subscribe to this belief system, that you're just physical body, that there is no soul, that there is nothing beyond, the existence of the earth, that the worms will eat you up and that's it, you're done. He said then the Antichrist or the Ahrimanic powers will be able to really enslave humanity, because then humans will, why not merge with machines? I'm already a machine. It's just I'm already a biological machine. There is nothing sacred about me. Why not upgrade myself with machines and stuff and so on? I know it sounds like sci-fi movie, but you'll see it. Watch it. In a few years, all of this will start unfolding. It is unfolding already. Why not change my DNA? Well, scientists discovered you can reprogram your DNA. Okay, I'm already just a fluke. I'm already just like some kind of a coincidence of nature. Why not upgrade it? But you are sacred. You have divine matrix in your DNA that humans have not been able to read still, to understand. Don't mess up with your DNA. Just warning you, the natural plan for humanity is way more greater than the Ahrimanic plan for humanity. And I know it sounds like we're probably in church and there is like a preaching in church, and like, what the hell is that? I thought I'm coming to listen to astrology. So yes, so anything that is trying to rewire your sacred in your bodies, in your DNA structures, you are and by the way, sorry, I lost my train of thought. But yes, so the Aquarian, the dark side of Aquarius is to mess with the natural order. The dark side of Aquarius is the most perverse one. You've probably seen some Aquarians that are totally amoral and that can be very perverse. They can have threesomes, foursomes, weird, like Aquarius to its negative side can pervert everything natural and by rebellion. So that's why Aquarius is the sign of the Antichrist. It's the rebellion of the angel that went against the will of God. And that's why the Antichrist can incarnate only during the age of Aquarius. And those of us, some of us that are extremely rebellious in the sense that they want to go, and that's the negative side of Aquarius. You go against everything natural and you want to make it artificial. You want to give it your own twist. So you go against natural relationship. You start doing perversions there. You go against natural sexual relationships. You start doing perversions there. You go against natural cycles of eating and sleeping. So you start sleeping during the day, awake at night, or you're disconnected from nature. That's again Aquarius perversion because of science. Aquarius rules science. Scientific advances like electricity and so on have allowed us to totally change, to disconnect from the cycles of nature, which was it was necessary. Like the esoteric sources says, it was necessary, it was allowed because humans had to become autonomic and independent from the cycles. For thousands of years, till 200 years ago, we were dependent on when the sun rises and goes down. They said human had to become extremely disconnected from the nature for a little bit, because this is what develops independent thinking as well. But they said if they stay in that vibration of total independence, then the perversion start happening, the breakdown start happening, and the lowering the vibration. So we've had enough of that. Now it's time to start reversing. So of course, Aquarius, through science and through technology, can do the perversion of the DNA, the perversion of the natural evolution of humanity, perversion of food. Food has been perverted, more and more artificial foods, genetically modified foods. That's the lower, darker side of Aquarius. Everything science creates that disconnects you from nature, that disconnects you from the natural flow, and disconnect you from your own, from the higher vibrations as well. This is the dark side of Aquarius. So we should not forget it. The high side of Aquarius, independence, independent thinking for yourself, not taking whatever they tell you trustingly. You're like, no, I have my own mind, I'll do my research. Then connecting with like-minded people and building the life you want. Aquarius is also about creating big goals and dreams, fulfilling dreams and wishes. So we're entering this time where we're going to fulfill our dreams and wishes to a level we've never experienced before. And again, I tell you, don't despair. The dark forces will try the alienation. They might try even to make this virus thing temporary for many years, or every year to say in the winter you stay apart and whatever. But humans are not going to take it. They are too aligned to the divine mission, and they're aligned to have this awakening now, because they also checked Alejandro and Elena. They checked how much were the Atlanteans ready to make the shift in higher consciousness 12,000 years ago, and they were only like 50%. They were not improving. They didn't have also high desire for self-improvement. And they checked humans. How much are they ready for the next move in consciousness, overall vibration? And we're like 90-something%. We're on the verge. That's why the battle is so powerful. That's why the forces that want to keep us are just so desperate and vicious. And they're just doing incredibly, they're exposing themselves and doing inhumane, just trampling of human rights, of incredible force, of incredible levels, because there's no time. There's no time, it's running out. So, but again, as I said, this time they ain't winning this time. And it's not us versus them. I'm like, thank you so much for being there to awaken us. If it was not for you, we were gonna stay complacent as humans. If it was not for you, the shadow players, to put us under your thumb to create this misery in the world, we would not want to get better, we would not strive towards higher development, towards love, towards something better. So thank you so much. And even the occult teacher, Rudolf Steiner, he said, by saving ourselves, by raising our consciousness, we will save the dark ones as well. Because they made the sacrifice thousands of years ago, those beings that are trying, that they're going to fall back in their evolutionary development, and they're going to try and stop this evolutionary progress of humanity. So through it helping us move forward. So this game of dark and light can play, and their salvation will come through us again. When we raise our vibrations, we're not gonna put them in prisons or banish them or whatever, those dark forces. We're gonna raise their vibrations. So we're their saviors. They're our torturers, but we're their saviors. This is the way love works. So just to give you this, and that's, maybe those things I'm talking might take a few hundred years, but I think it's in the next 20 years you're going to see it, because astrologically the symbology aligns to what I've been studying and researching and seeing. Okay, and I'm a bit of a channeler, apparently intuitively. So that's I thought I had to say those things. So I'm telling you, there'll be a counter culture, counter revolution. Humans will start awakening, doing their own. It's like their own communities. The love vibration will rise. The earth already is vibrating so powerfully. The vibration of the earth is already at 750 or 1000 almost. So no matter what kind of artificial means I use to keep the vibration low, it's not going to work. Okay, let's go now to the, I don't know, is there a point? Should I go down to the full moon in Cancer for the 12 signs and Saturn disappearing in Aquarius at the end of the year on the 30th for the 12 signs. So that prediction is basically for the next for the next 2 weeks, so to speak, strongly. So let's start with Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising. The full moon in Cancer will be, and I'm not talking about the Saturn Jupiter conjunction for you because I've already made a video for December. If you want to know how it will influence the Saturn Jupiter conjunction, watch it. And I'm also releasing 2021 videos, or have them paid. So if you want to watch the whole prognosis for Aries for 2021, you can check, or any other sign, you can check my paid 2021 video horoscopes, 2 hours for each sign at very affordable price, $12. Okay, so Aries, full moon in Cancer with good aspects, sextile to Uranus, happening in your fourth house. So the next, again, on the 29th of December, so the first 2 weeks of January, there is a strong focus on family. There can be something that you complete with family, or buying or selling of property, or if you've been, something culminates connected to property, to place of living in a positive way, because this full moon makes sextiles. And some good resolution to a problem connected to family, to home, to mother, to place of living, or just something with your property as well, and parental responsibilities. Then you have Saturn disappearing. So some structure dying out in your 11th house. Maybe a friendship can end for some of you. Some of you might end some kind of a belonging to a group or certain society or membership, for example, or you can end some long-term goal, complete it, see the results. Again, the planet disappearing is you're seeing the results for your efforts, but something ends as well. And Saturn in 2 months will be reborn again in your 11th house. So new such things will be born there for you. New friendships will come, new membership and to belonging to a group, or new big long long-term goal. Also, 11th house is gains or profits. You can complete some project and see your gains or profits, so you can end some profitable venture, for example. Then if you're Taurus and moon rising, the full moon in Cancer is happening in your third house. There'll be a lot of focus in the next 2-3 weeks on communication, information. You might be completing some project connected to writing, to speaking online, some business projects, some commercial activity, seeing its results culminating, but it's positive because you're in a sextile. There can be the resolution of some problem connected to brothers, siblings, relatives, or problems with phone, communications, or devices, or social media, or you complete something like that and you can see the results. There might be even some possibility for a short trip, third house activation, or some trip of some sort that happens. And again, it happens harmoniously around the full moon because of Uranus. Interesting communications, conversations that give you answers, receiving some piece of news, and so on. And then Saturn is disappearing in your 10th house. So there might be the end of certain career or certain structure in your career, or certain boss or authority figure that disappears from your life, or even parental figure, ending of some career project and completing it and seeing the results of it. But also might be like the dissolution of stability connected to something to do with career or certain structures, or how, or certain patterns, but also completing something and seeing its results. Then Saturn will appear again in February. So there'll be a brand new beginning for you when it comes to career around that time. Okay, if you're Gemini, Sun, Moon, rising, the full moon in Cancer is happening in your second house, so they might be receiving some money. Full moon is to see the fruit of something, receiving some money, completing some project connected to finances, resources. There might be a lot of focus around food and sensual matters of any sort, and enjoyment of the five senses. Might be something connected to resources, finances, as I said. And I think it might be positive because you can receive some money, you can receive something coveted and valuable, something that you consider attractive, for example. And it might be the completion of a project that you see the results bringing you finances of some sort. Uh, at the same time, Saturn is disappearing, Gemini, in your ninth house. So it can be the ending of some completion at the end of December of some study or line of high education or something that you've been studying, or maybe the dying off of structures of your beliefs. Some of your beliefs, they start falling apart, dissolving, because the ninth house is higher beliefs. Maybe the going away of some teacher from your life, or you leaving behind some kind of teachings or belief systems as well. It might be the completion of some teaching project or educational project, or completion of some high knowledge project as well. And then Saturn will be reborn again in your ninth house, become visible in February. So new such opportunities will appear for you. But something with your belief systems will start dying out. Then if you're Cancer, the full moon, of course, is happening in your sign, Cancers. You're on the spotlight, you're illuminated on stage, you'll be in the public eye somehow, or you'll be like the hub where everything rotates around towards the end of the year for Christmas, for New Year. You can see results from actions that you've started in the last year and a half, or a few months, that they materialize now. You see, and you kind of reassess, okay, so this is what the results, maybe I can do something better with it if the results are not exactly as I want. So you're realigning, your visions. Well, or you can just receive and reap rewards for something you've been doing. You're like, wow, great. You can complete something, see the results of something, but you're the central figure there, and it can be in connection to your career, in connection to your physical body, the ascendant if it's in Cancer. And yeah, so culmination with rewards of some sort. And because Uranus is sending sextile from your 11th house, they can be help, they can be even financially beneficial in some way, profitable. Some friends can help as well. And then there's Saturn disappearing in your 8th house. So some old structures connected to 8th house can disappear. For example, it can be the dissolution of certain financial obligations towards another, or of another towards you. 8th house is taxes, insurances, inheritances. They can be the disappearance of such a thing, or seeing the results of it. So when a planet disappears, if you've been working hard on receiving some insurance or inheritance or whatever, you can receive it now, you can see the results. Or it can be the disappearance of some, if you rely on finances from another, or your partner's finances might, that you've had stability, date can disappear. For example, a business partner can leave and withdraw their resources, or certain clients can move and withdraw their resources, or your partner's job might change, so the stability from the resources from them can be compromised a little bit, or can disappear. Or if you've been working on some project where you're meant to receive finances from another, say from clients or whatever, now when Saturn disappears, it can give you its rewards there, so you can receive these rewards. So stock market as well is the 8th house, but you might also means that you have to sell out some of your stocks, but you can sell out and receive the rewards for that. So that's another way it can happen. Or certain matters connected to 8th house, mutual resources, finances, alimonies, can be ending. But don't worry, Saturn will reappear again in a couple of months into your 8th house. So new powerful opportunities for support, financial, will come from other sources, new ones. If you're Leo, the full moon is in your 12th house, very psychic, very intuitional, but you might feel like you want to be more alone because of that full moon activation. You might feel like you want to sleep more, for example. You might even have some visionary dreams. You might have some visionary intuitive downloads. 12th house open, when it's activated by a full moon, opens your subconscious, and a lot of things from the past can come to the surface, but to be released in a very easy way. Because this full moon is beautiful with sextile from Uranus. So you can receive some kind of a completion as well. 12th house, complete something, illumination psychologically, answer to a question, seeing a certain pattern, understanding it psychologically, aha moments type of thing. Yes, so your intuition is very strong, and something private, something that can be something that you've been preparing behind the scenes, or privately you can come to complete it as well. For some of you, might even indicate ability to travel abroad, because foreign places is the 12th house. It's a bit hard now, but I think if you try, you might be able to. If you have any trips, that's a good sign. Then Saturn is disappearing in your 7th house. So this can be the disappearance of structures, old contracts, all agreements can fall apart or end. You can end certain obligations towards another person, or another person can end their friendship or agreement or obligation or collaboration with you, or you can end it with that. Or you can see the results of a project that you've been working on with another person. You can see the results of it now, of this collaboration with Saturn disappearing. And for others, it can mean that the stability in your relationship is ending, or if you have a partner, something can be ending in their life. Might be a career, might be a certain chapter of their life, certain stable, long-lasting structures that are no longer necessary. They're connected to a partner might be disappearing, or certain routine with a partner might be disappearing, or certain aspect of your relationship can break down and disappear. That's outdated. That's no longer necessary. For some, even properly a whole partner will disappear. But don't worry, because then Saturn will appear in 2 months, will be born again in your 7th house, and something totally new will come there, as in relationships, as in partnerships, contract agreements, business collaborations. Okay, and then if you're Virgo, the full moon is happening in your 11th house. That allows you to be more social, actually, around the 29th and a few weeks after. It allows you to completion of certain friendships, but in a positive way, or exiting of certain groups that are no longer serving you. But again, it's like, oh, I'm done with that. I received what I want. And also receiving 11th house is gains. So receiving something beneficial, gains, money of some sort, some rewards or bonuses, that you see the results of that, or if you've been working towards that, seeing the results of it, or if you've been working towards a humanitarian project or working towards a big goal or plan, again, you get the rewards and see, you see the developments there. If you've been doing 11th house is what? Some projects with like-minded people in a community. There can be some culmination, seeing of results there. There can be also the culmination of a friendship. You're receiving something through a friend, through an acquaintance, some help, some support from a benefactor. So lovely things. Social gatherings, if you can do them, or social activism might become quite strong for you as a Virgo. Then Saturn is disappearing in your 6th house, Virgo. So for some of you, might be the ending of some job, the ending of some work project, and you seeing the results of it. If you've been working on some project, for some of you, might be the ending of some health issue, or the ending of some health routine or daily routine. The disappearance of the normal order in your life and routine can fall apart for a little bit. So a new one can be reborn when Saturn appears again in your 6th house in February. Like a new job can also appear, a new daily routine, a new workout routine as well. So you might withdraw a little bit with Saturn disappearing in this 6th house from the usual ways of how your day goes, your daily routines, health maintenance, and so on. Okay, then if you are Libra, the full moon in Cancer is happening in your 10th house. So you're going to shine in your career. You can complete some project, then receive rewards. You can have some public appearance that you're up there, or have to take some executive decisions with your career, or it can be like culmination of your career and rewards, being public, in the public eye, being visible somehow. And because it's a good lunar full moon, sextile Uranus, um, from the eighth house for you, I think it's going to be anything connected with career can be quite good if you do it towards the end of the year, in the first week or two of January, and you receive rewards for that somehow. Or anything, if you've been needing the approval of some kind of authority figure or institution, that might be the completion. You can see the results from that as well. And then Saturn is disappearing for you, Libras, in your fifth house. So first of all, there can be in extreme cases, then can be the ending of a love relationship that is not supportive of an old one that needed to get released, or the disappearance of a certain structures and in your love life, or certain the disappearance of structures around children and routines with children, and certain mode of operating with your children. Also, some creative project might be ending and completing. While Saturn is invisible in your fifth house, I would advise you for the next 2 months to avoid speculative investments and risky activities, financially especially. And then you can see the results also of a creative project or a business project, fifth house, if it's your own business, ending, completing. But then Saturn will be reborn again in your fifth house, so new love affair or new way of bonding romantically with your partner can appear, new sort of having fun. But first, it's dissolution time when Saturn disappears. Some old ways of having fun will be dissolved, will disappear. I don't know, how do you have fun? Do you go out drink, or do you go out partying, or do you do paper figures? I don't know, do you knit? Some kind of hobby might go away, some kind of creative project, you can lose interest towards it. But don't worry, new ones will come with full force when Saturn becomes reborn in your fifth house. Then if you are, which sign are we? Scorpio. Scorpio, your full moon, beautiful full moon, is happening in your ninth house. So that can be actually, if you want to travel somewhere, that can be great. You'll be able to manifest it, unless you're under very severe lockdowns. Also, you can have a completion and seeing the results from some kind of educational endeavor, or some teaching project, or some higher knowledge project. You can have like illumination and understanding from a higher knowledge about, and clarity about some topic that you've been trying to get an answer about, because ninth house always gives us divine answers and clarity about topics, and seeing like, I see the path. So clarity about your long-term path as well, about your future. And I think more hopefulness and optimism as well this will bring. And you can receive a help through another, because Taurus is making sextile to this full moon from your seventh house. It can be good also to kind of envision and see clearly your future, your plans, to do any kind of spiritual activities or self-growth and self-knowledge activities. You can have a big breakthrough with them. And you can see completions of plans connected to visa, legal matters, culmination, and seeing the results of matters connected to foreign countries, relocations, and higher knowledge. Okay, and Saturn is disappearing for you, Scorpio, in your fourth house. There can be the ending of certain structures that have been solid in your home or family. It's like letting go of a place of living, moving to a different place, or something with the routines that your home and family is changing. The dynamic of your families is changing. It might be a family member leaving or going away, especially an elderly family member. They can be Saturn disappearing in your fourth house. They can be also disappearing of certain obligations towards family members, certain structures around home, family, place of living, and certain, or if you've been working, for example, on building property or home or house or relocating, now Saturn can give you its results. It can end. This kind of issues can end as well, and can be show you their results. So finally, kind of before Saturn disappears, you sell the house or you move in, whatever. But then Saturn will reappear again in 2 months in your fourth house. So there'll be brand new opportunities there, brand new circumstances in your home and family life and place of living and so on. Then we go to Sagittarius rising, or sun or moon. The lunar eclipse is happening, sorry, it's not lunar, it's full moon, Cancer, on the 29th. Is happening in your in your 8th house, Cancer. Is it? Yes. No. Sorry, Sagittarius. Yes, it's in your 8th house. So it means that the full moon, you can see, for example, the results, the completions of receiving some money. Say if you're expecting money from the government, you can receive it over the next 2-3 weeks. Or if you're expecting money from clients, or if you've been working on some project to receive resources from another, you can see the completion, the results of it. It will happen easy. Or maybe money is owed to you, you receive it. Maybe some alimony, or maybe some insurance, inheritance, or taxes money can come back to you, or you can complete it and see the results and resolve such things. Or maybe you want funding for your business. This is the time you'll focus on it with this full moon and receive it. Or help from another. Maybe your partner might receive a salary upgrade or some different financial resources culmination, seeing the results of something, maybe bonus or something, or bringing, or you can receive something from another, like present that you consider valuable and so on. It can also be the illumination of a secret, but a secret that's liberating you because it's good aspects from Uranus, a secret that transforms your subconscious, or maybe like a deep realization of a subconscious pattern you've had especially about a trauma that you break through, like an emotional psychological release and culmination, and being released from a psychological issue and burden, a breakthrough. Also, it can intensify the intimacy, sexual intimacy with another person. It can manifest as like sexual intensity with another person, or very intimate conversation on a deep topics, emotional deep topics. Okay, and also it can pique your interest if you're doing any projects connected to occult, astrology, life after death, such forbidden taboo topics. If you're in the sex industry or whatever, you can have some culmination that you're in the center stage spot, or that you're really fascinated and kind of have realization and a deep understanding about some research you've been doing, and you kind of be able to see the results of this research, or have a breakthrough in a certain research or line of studies that are more occult and deep and psychological, or even have some psychological revelation about yourself and your life, or have very powerful reading with a psychic or with a psychologist or with an astrologer that's really penetrating and breaks to you to the bottom of your and transforms you on a deep level, or just you reading such things and having such a breakthrough. And then Saturn is disappearing for you, Sagittarius, in your, where is this? 3rd house. So there can be the ending of some project connected to writing, to speaking, commercial project, small group activity project. There can be the dissolution of structures or familiar behaviors in connection with relatives, siblings, some project, or even a relationship with such a person can dissolve. They can disappear from your life. Teammate, workmate, mate, friend, a relative, sibling of some sort, neighbor. Or it can be that if you've been working on some project with workmates or whatever, associates, it can be completing and you're seeing the results of that. It can be also on a more negative level, like some problem with cars, with transportation, disappearance of certain device for communication, or losing it or something like that, because Saturn disappears in the 3rd house of communications. But usually completions and seeing the results of it. And then Saturn will appear in 2 months in your 3rd house again. So this is when there will be new beginnings, new ideas, new skills you'll be learning. But for now, you'll be ending such old ones and such commercial projects, business projects, communication projects, memberships. You might be ending belong memberships and participation in some small group environments or social media type of things, or completing such projects. If you're Capricorn, the full moon is happening in your seventh house. It's all about relationships for the next 2-3 weeks after the 29th of December. You're basically going to, this full moon in Cancer will allow you to see with clarity something about a relationship, to make a decision, an important decision about relationship, and it's going to be an easy decision as well. And it might be about business relationship or personal or a client relationship. And it can help you make closure or take a relationship to the next level. It can be like a culmination of relationship for some of you. Some extreme cases might be like a proposition. Others might be like if you've been working on a project with a partner or someone else, you can see the results of that work. You can finally sign a contract you wanted, or sell or buy something that you've been working on before. You can see the culmination of it, the results of it. You can, if you've been working to gaining new clients, you can see the culmination of your efforts as well. Something powerful can culminate in the life of your partner in a positive way as well. Some support can come from a partner as well. Then Capricorn, Saturn is disappearing in your second house. So there can be the completion and ending of some project that you've been working towards the end of December in regards to finances. So you might be, and before Saturn disappears, if you've been working hard on something, especially in regards to financial remuneration and stuff, you can see the results of it. It can give you its rewards, but it's almost like you end this and it's gone after that. And so for some of you, certain level of financial stability can disappear for a couple of months while Saturn is invisible. Certain structures financially can disappear that you used to rely on before. Stable resources can disappear as well. But don't worry, new ones will appear when Saturn gets reborn again in your second house in February. Powerful new ones. But for a little bit, there can be, kind of difficulties or with finances and such matters, or you can complete such financial matter. Plus, it can be a good time to give away things. Saturn disappearing. Disappear certain objects and possessions of yours. Let go of them to align to the energies of the cosmos. So it's not taken away by force. Do it willingly. Give away to someone. Take some of your old clothes, give them away, whatever. Let go, get rid of something. Saturn in the second house of possessions disappears. Disappear something material from your life. And if you're Aquarius, the full moon in Cancer is happening in your sixth house, a bit of focus in regards to your health. But there is help there. There can be the completion and resolution of a health problem or some addiction or some unhealthy situation that you've been unbalanced one, that you can culminate and have like an awareness, sudden understanding, breakthrough, see it, and see, or if you've been working on some diet already or lifestyle change for your health and exercise or whatever, you can start seeing results and rewards for that. It can be culminating for that. Also, if you've been working on some project, of course, work is sixth house as well, and it culminates, you receive rewards or you receive some kind of material manifestation there. This is full moon, rewards, material manifestation, seeing the results of. It might be the end of a job because it's also endings, completions. So in the end of some project, completion, seeing the results of it. Of course, sixth house is also habits. Some of you might be completing certain habits and daily activities. Also, sixth house is problems. So if you've been working on some problem to fix, to solve something broken, or some enemies or some court case as well, this is litigation. It can be culminating. You can be seeing results about it now. You can be seeing resolutions about that with the full moon. But definitely, I think it will be also some positive news for your health if you've been trying to get an answer about a health issue or about a disbalance in your body or mind, something you can receive like a click and information about it and focus there. Then Saturn is disappearing in your sign around the first, second degree, especially if you're early born Aquarians, 20th, 21st, 22nd of January, of 0, 1, 2, 3 to 4 degrees, ascendant sun or moon. I'm there. Something can end in your life. Something in your life, old way of living. It's like a symbolic death that happens first. And for all Aquarians, Saturn is disappearing in your sign, most strongly felt by the early ones, but some symbolic death of the old way of life, of an old lifestyle, some separations, some elderly person disappearing from your life, maybe grandparent or whatever, some old structure starting to disappear and die out. And you're going into a cocoon stage from the last week of December for about a couple of months. Because your planet Saturn, which is your natural ruler in your sign Aquarius, is going to consult with the sun for 2 months to create the new plan for you. And the new plan comes from February, when you're going to start getting ideas while Saturn joins the sun sometime in January. But you have to withdraw for a little bit from the end of the year. You're going to see the results of hard efforts that you've done as well. Your personal efforts is in your first house. It results in regards to something to do with your body and health, again, the first house, or even career. But then you withdraw, you complete something towards the end of the year, and then you're asked to withdraw. So you can plan, you can set the conference between your planet and the sun, the king happens, to give you the new agenda for the next 30 years. It's so important. So don't push yourself. Give yourself a break. The end of December, the whole of January, if you can. Just like rest a bit more. And so you can be in a receptive state, because the conference between Saturn and the sun, your planet, in your sign, which means the conjunction, happens sometime in January. And this is when you need to give yourself more rest, so you can be in a receptive state to receive those downloads and inspirations. And in February, from around the middle, when Saturn appears again in your sign, powerful new beginnings are going to be born in your life. But take a couple of months of a break. Don't push yourself, don't make big plans. The big plans will align themselves for you from the middle of February. It will just come bam, 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 bam. But till then, if you find yourself that you need to relax a bit more, you need to sleep a bit more, you need to be a bit more, kind of withdraw, this is the right thing to do. And then huge new beginnings from February, when Saturn becomes visible in your sign. Then Pisces, sun, moon, rising. Moon is becoming visible. There's full moon in your 5th house, so you might be completing some creative project. You might receive help with a creative project, maybe launch a website or whatever it is. Some of you might be a combination of a romantic time or fun time if you're Pisces. A bit more entertainment and enjoyment, socially, parties, some hobby. You can really have a blast with a hobby. You can even see the results of some creative or hobby or passion of yours, some creative project you've been working on. You can bring it to the world, or you can complete it, or you can receive a lot of satisfaction from it. Or some speculative investments. 5th house is also connected to stock markets and stuff, or startup investments. You can see the results of it now. You can see the culmination of it, I think in a positive way, actually, because the full moon is receiving sextile from Uranus, from your 3rd house, Pisces. So fun times as well are possible with this full moon around New Year, around Christmas as well. And focusing on children, something can happen, like some completion, some reward in the life of a child of yours, something positive that happens there. Or if you've been trying to get pregnant, for example, or something with creative project. And romantically, this can be romantically, maybe you've liked someone, maybe not, something can culminate now, or maybe you can have more romantic time with your partner because of this full moon now. More fun overall you can have. Maybe Pisces will be the one that have the most fun around New Year. And Saturn is disappearing. The death of Saturn, the death of all structures in your 12th house, Pisces. So some old structures are going to start dying out. 12th house is the past, 12th house is Saturn structures. You might be completing something, definitely, and it's almost like Saturn will get dissolved in this 12th house. It will disappear. So allow yourself to be even a bit messy and less organized. It's okay for a couple of months while Saturn is invisible in your 12th house. Already it's very hard when Saturn will be for 2 years in your 12th house to be organized and to be like very strict and motivated and to tell yourself every day what to do. It's kind of like you go into free fall when Saturn is in the 12th house. But when it disappears, just don't be too hard on yourself. So some old structures start dissolving, and you start noticing that you're detaching. If you've had attachments to other things, especially negative things like vices or stumbling blocks that are blocking your fears, they start dissolving when Saturn disappears. Now, I think the disappearance can be actually good for you in the 12th house. And disappearance of attachments, because Saturn rules attachments and old habits that were self-undoing for you, that were blocking your progress, or addictions as well. The attachment to those can start dissolving with Saturn disappearing. Also, it's also about completing something. 12th house is completion. Sending Saturn is something you might have been working hard on. You can complete it, see its results, and then release it for a little bit. Okay, so there you go, all the 12 signs, fascinating times. Of course, Saturn Jupiter conjunction is the most important one that you'll be seeing. The whole 2021 is so powerful, and the next 20 years are defined by this conjunction. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for being patient, for listening to my crazy theories, crazy information. I love you all. Check out my 2021 video horoscopes. They are just for 9 more days, discounted till the end of the year at $12 for 2 hours for each sign, or also my calendar for 2021, which is discounted till the end of the year. Let's see some questions if anyone wants to ask something. Thank you so much. Thank you all. If you have any questions, it's going to be available, the whole recording, very soon. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Big hugs. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. I'm going to probably disappear for a month because I'm Aquarius rising. Saturn will disappear on my ascendant. So I'm going to take it easy for a month in January. I hope to be able to do videos for the February, but oh, I love you all. Thank you. Big hugs.